In a world that seems to be dominated by AI, constant corporate layoffs, and just the sheer pace of technology demanding more and more of your time, I want you to stop and consider a pretty provocative question.
Okay.
In this day and age, is it truly possible to build a business that not only generates, substantial, even eight-figure revenue, but at the same time grants you the absolute freedom to travel the world,
Hmm.
lets you drop your children off at school every single morning, ensures you can actually prioritize your health, and, this is the most critical part, requires absolutely zero external investors controlling your decisions?
It really does sound like the utopian vision of business ownership, doesn't it? I mean, it
Yeah.
feels inherently contradictory to the whole hustle culture and the high stakes, hyper growth world we see celebrated everywhere.
Right. We're constantly told that success means burnout. It's the price you pay.
Exactly.
Well, I certainly thought so, but that precise lifestyle of, well, fun, freedom, and fulfillment isn't a fantasy. It's actually the core thesis of the book we are diving deep into today. Lifestyle Business Playbook: How to Have Fun, Freedom, and Fulfillment with Your Own Business.
And this is the work of Daniel Priestley. What gives his insights such gravity is that his path to success was anything but smooth. He's the co-founder of Dent Global. He spent years helping thousands of leaders across, I think, more than 50 industries navigate all kinds of market volatility.
But the counsel isn't just academic. It's rooted in him surviving massive financial pressure himself.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the key, right? The credibility that's born from crisis. We're talking about a man who faced insolvency after the 2009 financial crisis. He took on a massive, life-consuming 5-year loan just to keep things afloat.
I can't even imagine that pressure.
And he finally paid off that last installment in early March 2020, only to then face the global shock of the UK lockdown 3 weeks later. I mean, Stephen Bartlett, host of The Diary of a CEO, he calls this book a distillation of real entrepreneurial wins, losses, and wisdom.
You can see why. That kind of pressure cooker experience, those successive wipeouts, as he calls them, they force you to build robust systems. He learned the hard way that to get that flexibility and peace of mind, you have to maximize profitability.
Right.
You have to minimize your reliance on physical assets, and you have to gain total control over your own intellectual property and your digital reach. He basically learned how to build businesses that weren't just profitable, but genuinely anti-fragile.
Exactly. And before we unpack these foundational shifts that he outlines for the digital age, just a quick reminder to you, our listener, if you want the fast track to being well-informed and getting access to these kinds of captivating summaries of the world's best books, just hit that subscribe button right now on Audible Books.
So our deep dive mission today is to break down the fundamental mindset shifts, the ones required to stop playing by the very outdated rules of the industrial age.
And we'll lay out the foundational playbooks for launching a business that generates serious revenue, but, crucially, is intentionally designed to serve your life, not the other way around. Okay, so let's unpack this monumental systemic change. The author notes that truly major systemic shifts, like, moving from the agricultural age to the industrial age, they're historically rare.
Very rare.
And we are living through the next one, this massive kind of violent lurch from the industrial age to the digital age.
It's so important to give context to just how successful the industrial age was at its peak. I mean, it had a very, very clear social contract. You give us your compliance, you give us your best 8 hours a day, and in return, we give you stability.
So what were the original promises of that contract? What did that stability look like?
Well, they were pretty expansive, really. First, you had robust job security.
Yeah.
You could enter a company right after school and literally stay there for 4 decades.
The gold watch retirement.
The gold watch, exactly. Guaranteed better pay, better benefits, and a nice pension. Second was affordable housing. A single wage from one man, typically in manufacturing or some corporate machine, was enough to support a family of 5.
And buy a reasonable home.
And buy a reasonable home, yeah. Then you had the 8-hour workday, you had weekends, and you had a comfortable, predictable retirement backed by those pensions. I mean, this system, for all its flaws, it lifted millions out of abject poverty between 1900 and 2000. It was profoundly successful at creating a stable mass market.
But that contract is now completely gone. It's been ripped up. And I wonder, psychologically, if the pain a lot of people feel today comes from the fact that they are still playing by the rules of a game that was canceled without them being told.
That is precisely the source of so much modern anxiety. We see the breakdown everywhere. I mean, that promise of a long, stable career, it's gone. The source points out that today, if you stay at one company for too long, You're actually more likely to be made redundant or restructured out of a job than you are to receive a significant promotion.
So your loyalty is now a liability.
It's a liability, absolutely.
And the always-on culture is the new digital replacement for the 8-hour day.
Oh, completely. The 8-hour day was a hard-fought labor victory, but it has been stealthily replaced by the tyranny of the smartphone, the crushing expectation of 247 responsiveness, the endless emails, the notifications that just bleed work into every single aspect of your personal time.
And the housing piece.
The housing piece is maybe the most stark. It's now unaffordable even for couples with 2 full-time, white-collar wages. They're forced into these cramped starter homes that historically would have been considered beneath a skilled laborer. The system has simply stopped delivering on its promises.
I think we need to linger on what the author called component labor failure, the role of the schooling system in all of this.
Oh, yes, that's a crucial piece of historical context that's so often missed. The modern schooling system, which was famously standardized in Prussia, wasn't designed to produce critical thinkers or entrepreneurs.
No.
It was designed to produce obedient, functional component labor. It was all about uniformity and compliance. You were trained to be a replaceable part of a massive industrial machine.
So the system was actually designed to systematically punish creativity, collaboration, and any kind of disruptive thought.
Exactly. The human spirit, that inherent desire for independence and creativity, it had to be suppressed so that you would slot neatly into the factory or into the corporate bureaucracy. But that machine, the industrial age system, it no longer needs so many easily replaceable human components doing repetitive drudgery.
Because that work is now being done by something else.
Right. Because repetitive, tedious work, and I mean even high-paid white-collar work like basic programming or accounting or design, is being outsourced globally or automated. If your task can be defined as a repeatable process, its value is just collapsing to zero.
And this transition, this lurch as we called it, has been violently accelerated by 2 really powerful digital catalysts in just the last few years.
The first one, of course, was the global response to the COVID-19 lockdowns. This just normalized remote working, online buying, and remote conferencing like virtually overnight.
Right.
Management teams who had previously insisted their employees had to be physically present were forced to realize that, 90% of their white-collar operations could be conducted perfectly well from anywhere in the world. It just ripped apart the entire geographical paradigm.
And the second catalyst was the arrival of large language models ChatGPT in late 2022.
That was the moment. That was the moment millions of people realized their highly paid, complex, white-collar jobs were suddenly on notice. AI augmented human capabilities and reach, and it showed that tasks historically requiring expensive, specialized labor like basic legal drafting, consulting synthesis, complex data analysis could be done by AI.
Often instantaneously.
Instantaneously and for free. This forced individuals to shift from being general component labor to being irreplicable creators of unique value.
It truly is a violent lurch towards a new reality. But the beautiful byproduct of this volatility is the birth of the robust lifestyle business. Let's clarify the 3 essential elements that these seismic shifts make possible for the individual who decides to just exit that old contract.
Okay, so first, you get creative freedom. Because over 70% of the world is now connected by fast internet and is organized into these highly specialized niche online communities, you can now monetize weird, nuanced, or esoteric ideas.
Things that previously just weren't commercially viable.
Not at all. You can focus only on projects you're passionate about and develop the discipline to just say no to bad work or bad clients.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2 is location freedom. Thanks to cloud computing, software as a service solves, and the post-COVID normalization of remote work, you can live and work from absolutely anywhere, serving a global customer base. You're free from the geographic constraints that tethered you to high-cost cities just to get a job.
And third, which feels like the biggest one, is time freedom.
This is the ultimate goal. The ability to structure your day entirely your way, decoupling the time you spend working from the money you earn.
So it's not about hours anymore.
It's not about hours. This is achieved by leveraging online products, automation, and scalable systems for passive value delivery at scale. You are no longer paid by the hour. You are paid for the value you deliver.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, because if we were all trained in that industrial age system, we have to actively unlearn the outdated lessons that were drilled into us in school. We literally have to reverse the fundamental programming.
We do. And the author lists 4 crucial reversals. First, we were taught that collaboration was cheating.
Yeah.
You must face every test alone, no copying.
Right, covering your paper.
Exactly. In the digital world, collaboration is now essential. You must proactively form high-functioning teams with complementary strengths to ace every test together, because the collective creativity and the team chemistry is now exponentially more valuable than any individual effort.
Okay, and the second reversal challenges are our deeply ingrained sense of modesty. We were taught not to be an attention seeker. Sit down, stay quiet, don't be disruptive.
Yet today, the highest paid people know how to be attention seekers. They burst into people's minds. They publish, they perform, they engage, they take a stand, they get a reaction, and they are highly rewarded for being visible disruptors.
So if you're not getting attention, you're invisible.
And the market cannot reward you if you're invisible. This requires overcoming decades of social conditioning. It's really hard for some people.
I can imagine. Okay, third, the role of technology. In the old system, we couldn't use a calculator in a math test or a smartphone in an exam. Technology was something to avoid during the assessment.
Now, if you are not using AI and software constantly, if you are relying on manual processes for anything that's repeatable, you will be left behind almost instantly. You have to use technology to automate as much as possible, constantly seeking tools to achieve infinite leverage.
And finally, number 4, is the valuation of attendance. We were taught that turning up from 9 to 5, sitting at your desk, was supremely valuable. It was a prerequisite for being paid.
But in the digital, results-driven world, showing up at a particular place at a particular time is, frankly, irrelevant. If you can achieve great, valuable results for a client in 2 hours at 2 a.m., that is infinitely more valuable than doing mediocre work for 8 hours during the traditional workday.
You have to get comfortable with the idea that the structure of work is dictated by output, not by physical presence.
And that, yes, that work can actually be fun.
Yeah.
So if we accept that we have to unlearn how we show up to work and how we interact with technology, then we have to understand what we should be selling instead of our time. And that brings us directly to the new foundation of value.
The core message here is that the source of leverage has completely changed. The industrial age focused on tangible assets, land, factories, physical stuff. But in the digital age, small teams can have infinite leverage through intangible assets.
Right, assets that transcend geography and can be replicated at zero marginal cost.
The book's comparison of the Burj Khalifa to the financial tech giant Revolut just perfectly encapsulates this shift for me.
It's a brilliant example. The Burj Khalifa is an enormously impressive feat of physical labor, capital, and risk. But the founders of Revolut, in the same time it took to build that tower, built a company that was 12 times as valuable. They hit a £33 billion valuation by 2021.
And they own almost no physical assets. Their core value is in data centers, algorithms, and brand identity. It just reflects this massive economic paradigm shift. I think in the 1970s, only 20% of the S&P 500's value was intangible.
And by 2025, that figure is projected to be 95%. Ones and zeros digital assets are just worth far more than concrete and steel today.
So this brings us to shift 3 and 5 in the book, which outline the 5 levels of the value hierarchy that lead to wealth creation, and then the 7 distinct digital asset categories we have to build.
And we need to remember that time and skills, what the industrial age trained us to sell, are now the least valuable components on that hierarchy.
So let's climb that hierarchy, starting at the base, which has to be created first. Intellectual property, or IP.
Your IP consists of your unique insights, your proprietary stories, your documented research, and your bespoke frameworks. And crucially, this has to be unique, or it has to flow from your personal, irreplicable experience. That makes it inherently resistant to AI replication.
And Priestley discovered this for himself, right, during his 2009 crisis.
He did. He was forced to formalize his unique methodology on how to make CEOs famous and how to promote events, which he called the Key Person of Influence Accelerator.
So instead of just selling his skilled labor as a consultant, he was selling a proprietary system.
Precisely. By systematizing his unique knowledge into IP, he went from having a labor-intensive business to having something that was scalable and attracted millions in funding in just 18 months. He had packaged his experience.
The source provides a fantastic self-diagnostic tool for you, the listener, to find your own IP. It's what he calls the magic question.
Which is, when did I do something special for a certain type of person where we got a valuable result and I can explain it step by step?
I love that. It's so direct.
It crystallizes the task. If you can identify that unique outcome, find a market that desires that result, prove its effectiveness, and then systematize it, you have saleable and valuable IP. And once you have that foundational IP, you naturally move to the next level on the hierarchy.
Which is media.
Media is your IP turned into content books, videos, online courses, podcasts, diagrams, all created to distribute your unique framework. This used to be incredibly expensive and difficult to produce.
But now it's often effortless and globally scalable. The case study of Ali Abdaal is perfect here.
It is. Abdal was a medical doctor, highly skilled, highly paid, but he was trading his time for money. By quitting medicine in 2020 and becoming a YouTuber, he converted his knowledge, his IP, into media assets.
And the scale is just mind-boggling.
His online courses and books now reach millions globally, and he runs in his words, a ridiculously profitable business, impacting exponentially more lives than he ever could in a hospital setting. That's the power of media scale.
Okay, so after IP and media, next up is data. When people consume your media assets, they inevitably want more, and they exchange their data, their names, emails, preferences for that continued access.
And the key here is that you must own and enrich this data on your own systems, like a customer relationship management or CRM system. This list of contacts is an asset that is completely separate from selling your time.
It's a proprietary channel.
It is. It allows you to contact a warm audience instantly, which provides enormous leverage and security.
And finally, at the very apex of the value hierarchy is technology AI. This is the highest leverage point, where you leverage software and AI agents to deliver your IP, media, and data value at massive scale.
In a post-LLM world, the source notes that technology is rapidly evolving from just being a cost center to being the primary asset. Most businesses will, and I love this term, vibe code, custom software solutions into existence.
Vibe code.
Yeah, internal tools that run on their own IP.
Mm-hmm.
Autonomous AI agents are already handling most Tier 1 customer success, IT troubleshooting, research tasks, even content generation. If you can automate the delivery of your IP using bespoke technology, you have achieved the highest possible leverage.
So we've covered the 4 main elements of the value hierarchy, but the author expands this into 7 actionable categories that define the entire digital asset ecosystem.
Right, and these are assets that continue to deliver value and generate revenue even if the team takes a vacation or, heaven forbid, disappears entirely.
So we've established IP, media, data, and technology AI. What are the remaining 3?
Okay, so first, brand assets.
This includes your visual identity, your philosophy, your core values, and, crucially, the personal brand of the founder. A strong, intentional brand builds trust, which is just essential in a digital world drowning in content where people are naturally skeptical of everything they see online.
The second is market assets. These are your proven, established channels to reach customers. So we're talking about your e-commerce platform, your robust presence on high-traffic platforms like YouTube or LinkedIn, your highly optimized CRM database, and visibility boosters like winning respected industry awards. You want multiple channels feeding into your system.
And the return on investment, the ROI here, is just staggering. Priestley cited some personal examples like investing $15,000 in creating the 24assets.com online assessment tool,
which then generated over $500,000 in new revenue the following year.
That's almost a 33x ROI on a single IP asset.
Incredible. And even investments in seemingly soft assets yield huge returns because they build credibility. He mentioned spending $10,000 to engage a company for award submissions, which led to 3 major industry wins.
And those awards provided social proof.
Exactly. They attracted A players, and that resulted in over $100,000 in bigger contracts. The leverage comes from using the recognition.
There's another powerful example in there about a $100,000 investment in social media output, specifically video content.
Yes, that one exploded their YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn presence, and it generated organic leads equivalent to what a $50,000 per month ad budget would typically achieve. You are literally buying future leverage.
In a final category.
The final category is product assets. These are the digital explanations of your core. Offer highly polished brochures, explainer videos, clear pricing models, and compelling landing pages, all designed to make the buying decision absolutely effortless.
So if a prospect, browsing on their phone at 10 p.m. can't get a crystal clear understanding of exactly what they are buying,
they're not buying it. They're just gone.
The crucial takeaway seems to be that short, ephemeral posts vanish in days. But these 7 asset categories, websites, protected IP, testimonials, videos, they do the heavy lifting for years. It's the entire ecosystem of assets working together that produces the stability and the profit that defines the lifestyle business.
Now, if we connect this asset creation to the bigger picture of sustained profit, we have to look at shift 4 in the book, moving from a manufacturing supply to manufacturing demand.
Entrepreneurship is brutal. It's not fair. The market doesn't reward hard work or passion in isolation. You're paid by market forces, and success hinges entirely on generating demand for something that's in relatively short supply. The core driver of high profit is that demand-supply tension.
Let's just look at the airline industry as an example. They're incredibly complex, high-risk operations. They require billions in capital, 247 complex logistics, adherence to global safety regulations. You'd expect massive profits.
Of course.
Yet the average airline makes an average profit margin of only about 5%. And why? Because supply generally meets demand. Now, if half the global fleet were suddenly grounded, the remaining airlines would soar in profit, but they wouldn't be doing anything different internally.
Their problem is they aren't skilled at manufacturing excess demand.
Exactly. And the goal of a lifestyle business is to actively create a situation where demand significantly outstrips the apparent supply. Let's look at the Myron Golden anecdote from the book to understand the psychology of manufacturing desire.
Okay, lay it out.
So, Golden spoke to a room of 600 people over 3 days, delivering nonstop value without selling a single thing. He was carefully building a psychological state where the audience experienced intense value and then began sensing a desire for the next level of access.
They were, in the source's words, hungry lions staring at a plump elk.
What a phrase. And the brilliance was in the execution of the scarcity. He sensed that desire, and then instead of pitching to the whole room, he invited only 80% of them, the ones who filled out a detailed qualification form, to a separate exclusive room to hear his sales pitch.
Wow, so he instantly created psychological urgency and exclusivity.
Is phenomenal. The result was over $6 million in sales forms handed in on the spot, including high-ticket packages up to $1 million for one-on-one coaching. He wasn't necessarily selling a service that was objectively 100 times better than his competitors.
No, he was just masterful at manufacturing palpable desire through sequencing and perceived scarcity.
Precisely. And this manufacturing of desire is exactly why luxury brands succeed, utilizing what the source calls the Rolex model.
If an offer is always available, it's devalued. Like Google Maps, it's insanely valuable, so why is it free?
Because its supply is infinite. The scarcity that Google auctions off is the ability to place a targeted recommendation in front of a person at the precise moment they're looking for a solution. Rolex applies artificial scarcity to physical goods. They require you to register your name on a waiting list, which can last for years.
They are managing your desire through delayed gratification.
Exactly right. And when the call finally comes from the authorized dealer, it comes with the caveat. You only have a few days to commit and buy it, or it goes to the next person on the list. They put just as much capital and thought into manufacturing desire as they do into the engineering of the timepiece itself.
So in the digital age, where there's an oversupply of everything, content, products, services, your success is no longer dependent on your ability to supply something.
It's dependent on your ability to generate demand for it.
So if we need demand generation assets, what are the actionable campaigns? The author outlines 3, starting with the foundation, the perfect repeatable week.
This is the operational engine of the business. It involves consistent, repeatable actions tracked on a LAPS dashboard. And LAPS stands for leads, appointments, presentations, and sales.
Let's quickly define those because this feels like where the rubber meets the road. What does LAPS track specifically?
Okay, so leads are people who have signaled interest. Maybe they downloaded a free assessment or joined a mailing list. Appointments are booked one-on-one or group meetings. Presentations are the actual delivery of your pitch or your value proposition. And sales are, well, the closed deals.
And the campaign is centered around a weekly offering.
Yes, the most successful campaigns center on promoting a weekly offering, a free workshop, an online assessment, or a mini course that gets people into the top of that LAPS funnel, signaling an interest that can then be converted.
Okay, so that's the weekly engine. The second campaign is the quarterly spotlight.
Right. Every 90 days, you run a special, time-limited campaign. This might be a major live event, a limited edition product, or a strategic collaboration with a partner. This creates massive momentum. It spikes sales, and critically, it re-engages the prospects who didn't buy immediately from your weekly campaign.
It's a mechanism to force a decision.
It is. And finally, you have the big message.
This sounds like the brand story.
It is. It's your flagship transformation narrative, your bold, inspiring philosophy that shapes your PR, your long-form content, and your entire brand identity. This content is designed to hook attention, clarify your mission, and maybe even go viral, driving people back into your weekly repeatable campaign. This trio of campaigns creates a powerful, self-sustaining demand flywheel.
Let's pivot now to shift 6, the dominance of personal brands, because it feels like the founder is the powerful centerpiece of that demand flywheel. Our brains are just hardwired to form emotional attachments to people, not to abstract logos or corporate words.
The sheer shockwave from the Cristiano Ronaldo effect proves the unbelievable power of a personal brand. At a press conference, he walks in, moves 2 Coca-Cola bottles aside, which were part of a massive €30 million sponsorship, holds up a bottle of water,
And caused a 1.6% drop in the company's stock value.
wiping $4 billion off their market capitalization, all in less than 30 seconds.
That is just staggering. It's hard to imagine a corporate logo having that much instantaneous destructive power.
It's because of the reach of the individual. Ronaldo had over 500 million followers on Instagram at the time, compared to Coca-Cola's combined 2.7 million across all their platforms. Social media democratized platforms, allowing founders direct, emotional access to audiences, completely bypassing the gatekeepers of traditional media.
So whether it's Ryan Reynolds exploding the value of Mint Mobile through his personality or a key person of influence driving their niche, the personal brand is the fastest route to cut through in a noisy market.
Right, but this doesn't mean becoming a celebrity. It means becoming a key person of influence, KPI.
And the KPI framework has 5 keys to focus on. Let's start with pitching.
This is your ability to communicate your core message powerfully, whether that's in writing, in a conversation, or on a stage, to capture attention and move people toward your business. Entrepreneurship is, as the book says, the journey of 1,000 pitches.
It requires relentless refinement.
Absolutely. You have to practice and adapt your pitch, stripping away every single unnecessary word, like a tennis player practicing an unstoppable serve or a comedian refining jokes for maximum impact until they achieve total clarity and resonance.
Okay, so after pitching comes publishing. Once you have a great pitch, you have to create content written words, videos, audio that puts your ideas out into the public domain.
And builds those crucial parasocial relationships.
Define that for us.
These are the one-sided emotional connections we form with public figures we don't personally know, like watching a YouTuber or listening to a podcast host. Publishing allows your IP to work for you while you sleep, building trust and familiarity at scale.
Third are products. Your personal brand gains or loses strength based on the quality and scalability of the products and services you associate with.
And KPIs have to create their own ecosystem of scalable products, training programs, software, books that are all aligned with their unique IP rather than falling into the trap of standard influencers who just promote subpar sponsored deals for a quick paycheck.
Which rapidly erodes trust.
Instantly. Fourth is profile. This is your overall discoverability and reputation. You are who Google or ChatGPT says you are when a prospect searches your name.
And prospects look for signals.
They do. Social media followers, industry awards, speaking history, testimonials. But the good news is that for most lifestyle businesses, you don't need 1 million followers. A respectable, engaged following of, say, 5,000 to 50,000 people is plenty to establish credibility and keep the sales pipeline full within an affluent niche.
And finally, the 5th key, partnerships. Leveraging mutually beneficial arrangements to gain reach or credibility quickly.
It's just smart. If someone has fame, you partner with them as a brand ambassador to monetize their influence. If someone has a PhD or specific academic expertise, you add them to your advisory board to monetize their credibility. Forging these partnerships is just far more effective than trying to compete head-on.
Right, like the example of Ray Littlefield, the lean methodology consultant we mentioned. He's a rock star in his niche, a conference of family manufacturing businesses, but an ordinary person everywhere else.
And that niche rock star status is more than enough leverage to command premium prices.
Now we get to shift from the macro mindset to the really practical steps, the playbooks for actually launching this kind of business. And the author stresses that the first step to starting a successful lifestyle business is not starting one immediately.
No, it's completing Playbook 1, the entrepreneurial apprenticeship.
So what does that entail?
This is a critical prerequisite. It's a 6 to 24-month mission where you must work for an existing small lifestyle business, ideally one with 4 to 12 people, under the guidance of an experienced entrepreneur. The objective is to gain commercial awareness and experience the unfiltered realities of running a business.
Why is this apprenticeship so vital? I mean, why can't someone just jump straight in with their own idea?
Because you need to witness the truth behind the curtain. The author uses a pretty blunt analogy. If you can't stomach the sight of blood, you won't make it as a doctor.
Okay.
If you can't stomach doing a week of back-to-back sales meetings or dealing with cash flow crises or handling difficult client complaints, you are not going to make it as an entrepreneur. You have to get behind the scenes and work with a small team who are literally building a bike while they are riding it, witnessing every triumph and every failure in real time.
And the goals during this period are extremely specific. They're focused on the true value drivers of the business, not just, administrative tasks.
Exactly. The focus has to be on high-value, high-impact activities. The apprentice must aim to generate a minimum of 1,000 leads, close at least 50 sales, secure 30 customer referrals, and critically, gain a deep understanding of the true revenue, operational costs, and profit structure of that host business.
This is your practical MBA.
It is. And the mindset required is eager to learn, happy to be of service, and nothing is too big or too small. Learning is prioritized over earning during this phase.
So you should expect a low base salary.
A low base salary plus performance bonuses, because the real value exchange is the invaluable commercial awareness and access you get. I mean, the most famous example is Kim Kardashian working as Paris Hilton's assistant, learning every single trick in the book about monetization, brand extension, and media management before she launched her own rival empire. She got the knowledge first.
Okay, so once you've graduated from that apprenticeship and you've moved through the necessary validation steps, you then move to Playbook 3, the fire starters, launch squad. This is the official launch phase.
Right, generating sufficient revenue to validate all your financial assumptions. The launch squad is intentionally small, and it's built around 4 key roles. The first is the founder, who is the key person of influence and often the sales lead, personally driving that LEPS dashboard leads, appointments, presentations, sales week after week.
And who fills out the rest of this lean, powerful team?
You absolutely need a delivery lead to ensure the value is delivered flawlessly and your customers are delighted, securing those crucial referrals. And then you need an operational support person. This is your high agency generalist, the Swiss Army knife.
The ultimate fixer.
The ultimate fixer. They're often from a hospitality background, someone who can juggle data entry, logistics, scheduling, and event management because they are defined by high capability and a willingness to do whatever is necessary.
And the launch squad, being small, needs to borrow credibility. This is where the associate key person of influence, AKPI, comes in.
The AKPI is a trusted speaker or influencer. Priestley leveraged his mentor, Thomas Power, for this role. They agree to use their reputation to attract sales and give the launch instant credibility. And crucially, the source stresses the AKPI must be paid well.
Right, either through speaker fees or a cut of sales, not asked to work for free exposure.
Never. And the leverage gained is phenomenal. Priestley's team hosted a private dinner party, leveraging Thomas Power's reputation to get 30 strategic partners in the room.
And what was the outcome of that one partnership event?
That single event led to securing 20 agreements with those partners, which then drove 800 bookings for their launch events, generating $4 million in sales revenue in the first 6 months.
Wow.
That's using someone else's established brand to rapidly generate demand that the new business could never have achieved on its own.
And the launch itself should follow the ecosystem launch model, starting with a product for prospects.
Yes, this is something low commitment, a free workshop, an online assessment, or a discussion group designed to warm people up and allow them to just test the water. It's much easier to persuade someone to attend a free 2-hour workshop and signal interest than it is to get them to commit to the core offer right away.
And that leads directly to the core offer, which must have at least 2 versions, a gold or silver package to present choice, rather than forcing a simple yes or no decision.
And throughout this entire launch, the team must be constantly tracking 3 critical metrics. Let's clearly define them. CPL is your cost per lead, C-key is your cost to acquire a customer, and LTV is your lifetime value of a customer.
And these metrics prove the model works.
They prove viability and predictability. For a high-touch services business, the benchmark might be 100 warm leads leading to 2 sales. For software, it might be 3 paid accounts from 100 leads. If those ratios hold, the business is predictable and it's scalable. Now, let's circle back to Shift 2, which is absolutely fundamental to the entire lifestyle business strategy, moving from the eroded mass market to targeting the affluent niche.
The mass market, the vibrant consumer base that fueled the entire industrial age economy, it's rapidly shrinking. It's being hollowed out. The middle market just no longer has the disposable income it once did.
The source uses a really stark data point for this. The number of UK school teachers who could afford to buy a home in their school catchment area halved from 40% to 20% in just 10 years.
That is a profound economic collapse in the middle.
It is. The reality is that wealth has concentrated. The top 10% of earners in developed countries now hold about 45% of the total income. So for a lifestyle business to achieve high profitability and stability, you have to target the affluent niche, the people who actually have the funds and the passion.
And these people don't shop on price, they shop on passion. If they get into wine or high-end tech or specialized fitness or deep leadership training, they just throw money at it.
Right. They're buying premium books, attending high-cost conferences, hiring exclusive coaches. The price sensitivity is extremely low because they are buying identity and results, not commodities.
This is why clarity on your ideal customer persona, your ICP, is so vital. We can look at the example of Ray Littlefield again, the lean methodology consultant. He didn't target general business. He specifically targeted second or third generation family manufacturing businesses that had been operating for over 30 years.
And why was that niche so valuable to him?
Well, their plants were typically outdated, the necessary operational transformation was technically daunting, and any mistakes could be catastrophic for the family legacy. They desperately needed his specialized, proprietary knowledge.
And because the stakes were so high and the availability of trusted consultants was so low.
They were happy to pay premium rates. He had positioned himself as a key person of influence in that very specific niche market, allowing his business to entirely avoid competing on price in the crowded, low-margin mass market.
So targeting an affluent niche allows you to focus your effort, innovate highly specialized solutions that truly matter, and price your offer based on the value delivered to that specific group.
Rather than being constantly benchmarked against cheaper generalist alternatives. And this strategic choice leads directly to the final shift, which is profoundly important for long-term fulfillment. Shift 7, from endless growth to having enough.
We have to acknowledge the trap of endless accumulation. The goal of life, as the author stresses, is not resource accumulation. The true metrics of success should be fun, freedom, flexibility, family, and flow. We see countless examples of people hitting massive financial goals, but being absolutely miserable.
Right. The author is very clear. Achieving billionaire status doesn't guarantee happiness if the experience is lonely, guarded, stressed out, and detached. The pursuit of the next round of funding, the next acquisition, the next metric just forces you right back into the industrial age mentality of trading all your time and flexibility for money.
The source material shares a couple of case studies illustrating this enough paradox. We hear about one couple, both coaches, who deliberately handle only 12 high-paying clients a year at $8,000 each.
And they work 3 weeks a month and travel for the fourth. They have a city home and a cottage, but they fly economy and they drive normal cars.
They've achieved high financial freedom and stability, but they have deliberately chosen to cap their income and their complexity because they determined they had enough. They found the point where their income was perfectly in alignment with their health goals, their family time, and their fun. They chose flexibility over the marginal gains of another 12 clients.
And you contrast that with the entrepreneur who is insanely wealthy, constantly starting and selling companies for mind-blowing amounts of money, but he's still searching for satisfaction. He's telling friends and family he'll start a family after the next company sells.
And the problem is that the next milestone always seems reachable. The $10 million goal, the 100,000 followers, the 50-person team, creating a treadmill of achievement with diminishing satisfaction. If you don't put a deliberate boundary in place and define what enough is, enough will never, ever be enough.
What's fascinating here is the ideal business structure that typically achieves this balance. Most entrepreneurs who are truly happy in achieving fulfillment operate what the author calls a boutique business.
Right? With a lean team of 4 to 12 people, including the founder. This size is mathematically optimal for balance. It's neither lonely nor crowded. It provides strong leverage of digital assets, stability, and camaraderie without the overwhelming complexity that sets in once you cross that threshold.
And what happens when you cross 12 people?
Well, you start to build a performance team of 30 or more people. This immediately requires teams of teams, a full leadership structure, dedicated HR, expensive leadership retreats, and detailed dashboards to manage all the complexity. And the profit margins often halve due to the increased overhead and management required.
It ceases to feel like an extension of the founder.
And starts feeling like a machine that you are constantly feeding.
The lesson is clear. Unless you're absolutely sure you want to build a major, performance-driven empire that requires vast capital and a loss of personal flexibility, the juice of that endless growth is simply not worth the squeeze. The boutique model allows for the fun, freedom, and flexibility you set out to achieve in the first place.
And this all hinges on one simple truth. Money only solves problems that money solves. It can buy you the time and resources to focus on your health, but you still must focus on it. It can't buy loving relationships or gratitude or a quiet mind. These things require your attention and your temperance. In a digital world of infinite abundance, the most valuable skill you can possess is knowing when you have enough.
So to summarize the opportunity for you, the learner, the industrial age contract has expired. The new system is here, it's powered by AI and abundant digital capital, and it ruthlessly rewards those who are agile and performance-driven.
And the new rules of the game require 7 fundamental shifts. You have to acknowledge the end of the industrial age, target affluent niches, monetize your unique IP, media, data, and technology, actively manufacture excess demand, leverage a comprehensive digital ecosystem, lead with a powerful personal brand, and deliberately define what enough means for you.
And the practical path to designing your life to an unprecedented degree is laid out in these playbooks, starting with that necessary entrepreneurial apprenticeship, moving through the launch squad, and deliberately building a boutique business of 4 to 12 people that delivers those 3 essential gifts: creative, financial, and geographical freedom.
This is a radical time of economic change, for sure, but it's an immense opportunity to craft a truly bespoke life. You are not trapped in one place, and you can design your business to be profitable and flexible from the very outset, freeing you up for family, health, and passion projects.
But here's the final provocative thought to take with you as you begin to explore these shifts. The ultimate irony of building a lifestyle business is that it won't happen when you are primarily focused on your own lifestyle.
You will achieve fun, freedom, and fulfillment when you focus intensely on solving meaningful problems for others and make a dent in the universe. What you really want is to find a problem you are drawn to, assemble the right people around you, and excitedly create solutions. Focus on creating exceptional value and meaningful change, and the fun, freedom, and fulfillment will follow as a natural result.